What's going on here? Former Patriot, Super Bowl 51 champ Geno Grissom here. You're listening to Boston's Big Three presented by Ride the Wave Media.
What's up, everybody? Boston's Big Three, episode 80. 80 episodes for Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored again by bostonsbig3.com/shop. A little bit tough to promote our web shop right now with the Patriots on the verge of dropping their fifth straight game. It's myself, Babs, Spike King with you today. And again, back to back, like one-on-one podcast with Brendan Watabe, Mr. P, the producer out here. We're doing something a little bit different. It's currently under 5 minutes to go, the fourth quarter. The Patriots are driving down the field right now. Nice little run right there by Damian Harris. You might hear it in the background when you're listening. Patriots are losing by 7 points right now to the New York Jets. Brendan, can the Patriots? We're doing this like this is a live podcast. We're watching the game.
You were talking about how it's really hard to promote our stuff right now. I made this design thinking that Cam Newton was the future of the Patriots, not just this year, but for years to come, hoping that Cam Newton would be that guy to replace Tom Brady. And I am so like I feel like a lot of Pats fans have already given up on him. If the Patriots lose to the New York Jets, the 0-8 New York Jets, it's over. I think everyone can it's not a bold take anymore at that point. It's a wrap.
I've said this on this podcast numerous times with Toby that, and again, and this is with me and Joe Stafford, we were never against Cam Newton. We thought it was a win-win situation. You're paying this guy $1 million. Does he still have it? I felt like he didn't have it. I've been on that side where he doesn't have it, but I will say this. The Patriots and Belichick know that Jarrett Stidham doesn't have it.
Right.
They're completely screwed right now at the quarterback position. And I will say this for tonight's game that we're still watching. Let's see what happens with Cam Newton. The fact is, last week against Buffalo, he fumbled it away. He fumbled that game away, and it was devastating that it happened. On the other side of this, he hasn't played terrible on offense, but a couple bad decisions. Again, you have to play a nearly perfect game right now because your defense is just atrocious.
And that's saying something. You're doing that against a team that hasn't won a game yet in 2020.
I mean, I want to talk about a couple drives ago, Cam Newton tripping up on himself.
Which time? It's happened a few times today.
And he got bailed out. I mean, they still end up kicking a field goal anyways later on, but he got bailed out. But you saw Bill on the sidelines. He was pissed off. He got bailed out because it ended up being 12 men on the field after that for the Jets. Jets being the Jets. But it's like, it does feel. I said this in my post recently, and I know you're on the Boston's Big Three Instagram. And you said we have to talk about it. If this stands and the Patriots lose, I'm on tank for Trevor now. I didn't want to be this way. I didn't want to do this.
I totally agree with you. I did not want to be this way. If you remember, I posted that photo that the Trevor Lawrence post and the jersey swap way back when before I didn't even know how to do jersey swaps. I was just like, hey, what if? That would be pretty cool. And I made that post and I said, yo, what if the Patriots actually went 3-13 and just stunk this year and actually ended up with the next best quarterback prospect since John Elway, and he was the guy to take the Patriots to the promised land for the next 15, 20 years. That would piss people off in the league.
I give you 100% credit. It was you and Matt Gordon that were kept pushing that agenda, like on Ride the Wave Media, and kept saying like this is a possibility. And Bias Babs was like, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. Then all of a sudden you have a couple opt-outs, and then all of a sudden COVID hit the team. But there's no excuses at this point. Right. Like, there's literally no excuses. Even Bill Belichick coming out this past week saying it is what it is. We went all in with Tom Brady. We have a cap issue going on right now. I mean, that's an excuse, Bill. Like, you should be putting out a good product. And I will. It sucks because
that's like saying no offense, but you're still saying something afterwards. You know what I mean?
It sucks because the Patriots are not going to be a playoff team this year, and hopefully they can end up getting a high draft pick and they can fix this for next year. If you can tank for 1 year and then end up becoming a top team again the next year, you're fine. People will forget about this season. Hey, they'll know it's a wash.
Golden State Warriors.
And that's what it is. I like that comparison. That's a great comparison. The Patriots Good catch there. The Patriots are a comparison to the Golden State Warriors right now.
Oh, that is a great catch. I think you're ahead of me now. The Jacoby catch?
Yeah.
That is a great catch. Maybe you are ahead of me now. We're flip-flopping back and forth. It makes sense that you're in front of me.
Yeah,
I think if the Patriots keep doing this, they're moving right. Oh, it's not a catch. That's not a catch.
Can we talk about Jacoby Myers tonight? Absolute stud.
Hey.
He's starting to get comfortable now.
I got to pull up my fantasy team. I added him to my fantasy team. Perfect week because Edelman out, Harry's out. Why not add Jacoby? I was struggling in fantasy football, so I thought, why not? I know we don't talk about fantasy a lot on this show, but I felt pretty good about throwing him in there, and he's performing. I think we saw flashes of this last season, but I think we're definitely seeing a step up from Jacoby Myers this year. I don't think he's going to ever be like the number 1, number 2 guy in New England, but he is going to be a great role player. If he wants to stay in New England, that number 3, number 4 role, come in and out every other play, that job is his.
Absolutely. I was going to say he had some flashes last year in preseason with Stidham and Hoyer. Like, he looked pretty good last year. I want to throw this your way. On October 29th, we found out that Julian Edelman was having the surgery. He was going to be out for a couple weeks. He most likely returns to the Houston Texans. If the Patriots lose this game, Brendan, does Edelman truly return this year? Does he even come back to this dumpster fire team?
I think he will, simply because he is a gamer. I think he is closer to the end of his career than the beginning, the same way we've talked about that with Brady for a few years. Edelman's towards the end of his career. Like, wide receivers, you're not looking at these guys having 15, 20-year careers, not like Larry Fitzgerald. He's just like the odd man out. But Edelman, as a slot receiver, he's had a lot of wear and tear on his body, and you got to think that adds up over time. Same way it did for Gronk for a while. But I think Edelman is on his way out eventually. I think I don't know what his contract situation is right now, but I would assume he is on his way out in New England as that leader and as that captain. But as a he's not a captain this year, but
he's not.
But still, as a leader in that locker room, a guy that's been there, the veteran of the team, the only guy really left that's been to all those championship teams on the offensive side of the football, other than the guys in the trenches. But you got to look at Edelman and think he's going to come back. He's going to be the voice in the locker room. He's got to get this core group of guys to keep them together and coach guys up like Jacoby, because Jacoby may end up replacing him soon.
Just as an FYI, Julian Edelman still has 1 more year left on his contract, but he has an opt-out in his contract after the season. If he opts out, and this is something that I was told from JE11 at the beginning of the season, he was planning, put my head down, we'll see what ends up happening. Edelman doesn't want to be part of some sort of rebuild. He either opts out and retires, he opts out and goes to Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay could take him on the cheapest contract possible, and he gets to play with Tom Brady for his last year. I look at Julian Edelman in my case here. Like you said, he's a gamer. He's someone that wants to be out there. His health is very, very important. Does he want to go out there and be banged up with a team that's under 500 by 5 games or something like that? Does he truly want to go out there and do that? We just saw again. We're watching this game live right now. There's 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Damian Harris is now out of the game. Someone that actually looks like he's taking over that lead back role. He's been a stud. Another guy that's people need to watch in a free agency coming up is James White. James White hasn't had a good season. I will say it's because of the transition from Brady to Cam Newton, and he's not being used in the way he should be, plus his parents' situation that happened early on. He missed the Seattle game, and I feel like he could just never find that absolute groove this year. As we're watching this game under 4 minutes now, Cam Newton is trying to lead that drive.
First down.
He's trying to go down the field. And again, this is real time that we're talking about this. Watabe, I'm a little nervous because if they score a touchdown, they're going for 2.
I don't think they would. I don't think if they score a touchdown, I think they're gonna just tie it up because they have been playing. They're moving the ball, but I do not see them going for 2 against the New York Jets.
They just showed
shocking.
They just showed time of possession, and it was 19 minutes. Oh wow!
Yeah,
there we go. Oh wow! That's a touchdown. You got to call that a touchdown. Oh, he's saying he stepped out.
Bird, get around. It's like the N'Keal Harry one.
Now I'm ahead of you.
Play. Yeah, you are. It's like the N'Keal Harry play.
I gotta stop. Nice pass there to Damian Bird. He goes across the field. and they say he steps out of bounds with about 4 to 3 yards to go to the goal
You gotta
line.
look at it.
It's
You gotta look at it.
27. We're doing
Kansas
this
City
live.
last year. Kansas City last year. Do you remember N'Keal Harry? It's the same situation.
Nah,
You
he
gotta look at it. Yeah, he stepped out, but N'Keal Harry didn't. That still sits with me.
Okay, so let's break this down. Cam Newton's got the ball right here. What do you want to see him do?
I just want to see him up the middle, 2 yard line, 3 yard line, and probably run one more run play with Burkhead or someone. Oh no, yo, Cam's just going for it. Okay, he is risking it a little the way he extends the football like that. I know Belichick preaches don't reach for the goal line because you lose ball security doing that.
You know what's sad so far this season with Watabe is that Cam Newton on the goal line against Seattle had the game there. Last week against Buffalo, they were driving down the field. And he has it. And it feels that this entire season right now, Cam Newton just can't get over that hump to get the W. Cam Newton can't get over the hump to just be a winner. And they're on the goal line. They're on the 1 yard line. There's 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go. It looks like they're about to go into the 2-minute warning. Brendan, he's only had 2 passing touchdowns this year.
It's surprising. He has not been passing the ball efficiently at all this year, but
and he has had 7. He had his rushing touchdown earlier.
The thing is, you would expect that they need to because they've been trailing in half the time they've played this season. I just remember the game against Seattle is the lone bright spot. Even though they came up a yard short, you got to look at the passing stats there, upwards of 400 yards that Cam Newton was slinging it. Granted, he still had all his weapons available, but Cam Newton still has the ability to throw the ball. I just think they're relying way too much on that ground game currently. If they let him sling it, there's been quite a few picks. So it's really pick your poison at that point.
I'm sorry. I'm doing a little something for Boston.
I just don't know the great games that he has had versus a good secondary. Teams have been lighting up that Seattle one recently, just like the Bills did this week. So
yeah, the Seattle defense is absolutely garbage. It's absolutely crazy. Brendan, we've seen the league all around right now. What's the best team in football? Who is the best team? Do you want to talk about any games that you saw yesterday while we're in commercial?
You gotta think that Russell Wilson was the early odds-on favorite for MVP. He's definitely going to get some votes this year, but I think Pat Mahomes is moving his way up there. You got to look at those both the top dogs in the AFC right now. Pittsburgh looks like a complete team, poised to challenge the Kansas City Chiefs if they were to make it both to the AFC Championship. I think that would be a phenomenal game. Both those teams. I think Buffalo looks very good. Buffalo, the way they're able to air it out, just those 3 in the AFC alone. Move over to the NFC. You got to look at Green Bay. You got to look at Seattle. Even though they've dropped their last 2, I think Seattle is still a well-rounded team. That secondary is not what it used to be up there. The defense, Legion of Boom, is long gone. But if I were to choose 2 teams to come out on top and meet in the Super Bowl right now, honestly, I'm looking at Seattle and Kansas City.
You got to put some respect on the Saints. I think them beating Tampa Bay twice this year, and even that Sunday night game, man, they embarrassed Tampa Bay.
That was brutal.
And let me tell you this. I mean, I think they have the division locked down. The Saints.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints have looked very, very iffy this year too, but the Saints.
But they show up when they need to. I feel like they're one of those teams where they're playing up, playing down. You know what I mean?
They had Michael Thomas for a couple weeks with his whole issue, and he looked fine looked fine the other night. I think the Saints. I think that Tampa Bay is going to come down to coaching.
Right.
We're going down now. Here we go. We go.
Do the Bucs have too many weapons? There you go. He's in.
Cam Newton rushes it in for a touchdown.
There we go.
1 minute and 57 seconds left. Cam Newton and the Patriots are 1 point away from tying this game up.
Or 2 points away from taking the lead.
I'm a little nervous. They got to kick it. You have to kick it.
That's what I'm saying. You got to kick it. You got to tie it up. Take the point.
But Belichick went with the onside against Buffalo.
You never know.
Lose the momentum like that. That's his third game this season with multiple rushing touchdowns. FYI, Cam Newton.
That's what he does in the red zone.
Yeah.
I feel like
There's no
they don't have enough red zone like guys that can separate themselves and just find themselves open in the end zone. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna
setting
get
himself up.
right.
Had back issues. He's had back issues. He was not looking good pregame. The ball's up.
Oh.
Here we go. Right down the middle.
Nick Folk's been a bright spot this year.
Yeah, he played pretty well.
Like he hasn't been terrible.
In that Denver game, especially that Denver game was like all goals and stuff like that.
Kept you in it, yeah. All right, final 2 minutes. This is going to be interesting. We might go to OT. Who knows?
Oh my God! Overtime against it. Imagine they end up tying against them.
Oh, that would just be brutal. I would be embarrassed. Like I'd rather lose to the Jets than tie them. Like because just tying it feels worse than a loss. There's just something about it in the NFL, considering how hard it is to tie.
Again, I will say this. It's a minute and 57 seconds left. It's a tie game. It's 27-27. This is our first time on Boston's Big Three in 80 episodes that we're kind of covering the game at the same time, talking about it. It's like a live show. Joe Flacco's absolutely tore up this defense. He made the mistake. He just like Drew Lock a couple weeks ago, made a mistake, threw it down there, and J.C. Jackson was the one that ended up.
It was like the exact same play. Did you notice that? It's like the exact same thing. Just air it out. And J.C. Jackson's there patrolling the secondary.
If I'm Joe Flacco, I feel confident right now that I can go down that field and put them in field goal position. That's all they need. They don't need a touchdown. Yeah. They just need something. They need a little something. And I would be interested. Braxton Berrios right here, about to take the ball out. Former Patriot. Braxton.
How many games did he play for the Patriots?
I think he was just on a practice squad guy.
0. Yeah, he didn't play. He didn't play any. I saw that on Twitter.
They got Braxton Berrios. They were like, any small white guy is the next Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman.
I saw the exact same thing. Like, this guy's going to be the next thing in New England. He's going to replace Danny Amendola, Edelman, and have double their numbers in New England in year 2.
And then you lose Berrios, and you're like, oh, Gunnar Olszewski, he's the next guy. Like, he's going to be the guy.
And they're all wearing the same number, too. They're all wearing number 80. I think Berrios wore 82.
I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about the NFL in general. They're undefeated. This has got to be the best team overall that Big Ben's had. And it was a little iffy game against Dallas. Dallas gave it the run for the money. And you look at Dallas, you're like, oh, Dallas Cowboys aren't a great team. They still have playmakers on that team. They still have things that they can get done. And especially when you have a quarterback, it's their first game. They're going to sling the rock. They're just going to go out there and be kind of loose. They're not playing for a job. They're just out there to play. And that's what it feels like.
I was very surprised to find out that Pittsburgh this year, this is the first time in franchise history they've started 8-0. You would think the team that's been as consistent, like I would think of the Steelers as probably like maybe the San Antonio Spurs or something of the NFL. They're just a consistent team. They're always competing for a championship. Granted, they missed the playoffs this last season, barely, but they're a team that is very good, and you would expect them to be 8-0 at one point or other in the last 50 years.
That's actually shocking. I got to look back on that. Great
sack.
Great sack, by the way, by Dietrich Wise. Dietrich Wise is an unrestricted free agent after this year. That's our boy for Ride the Wave Media, FYI. I know Dietrich has a great connection with him. Dietrich Wise this season, from watching these games, I keep a close eye on him. He's got a lot of QB pressures out there. He's a guy that gets in there, gets towards the quarterback, but just can't convert, can't get the sack. Like, he's just so close. Earlier on in the Kansas City game, he was held most of that game. Like, he was getting to Pat Mahomes multiple times.
All right.
What are you
Patriots force a 3-and-out. They're punting.
Oh, you got a touchdown. Yeah, I know. That was the bad punt.
All right. See what Gunner can do with the punt. Patriots now, same thing you said. They just need a field goal.
Cam has to show they can throw.
Field goal. Did I say foot goal? What do they need? 40 yards?
Yeah, roughly. This could be the Jacoby Myers happy birthday to him. Get him down the field and put him in. You have to get Nick Folk there. I want to talk about Kansas City now. We'll talk about these other teams. Like you said earlier, Kansas City, I think they lost their luster just because they lost the Raiders.
Right.
But they're still like the best team in the AFC. I think that they could take on Pittsburgh one-on-one and smoke them.
You just say
I think,
they're undefeated against the league except John Gruden.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Is that the only loss that they've had this year?
I,
Was the
I think so. Because
Yeah.
I remember I was talking on the show like, will that team ever lose again? Because they've got so many weapons. See, I look at the Tampa Bay Bucks as a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. They just don't have the experience together yet.
I
They
so
have the
you
weapons.
so you were just saying that a little bit earlier about do they have too many weapons down
Right.
there to make it work out? And I agree because not everyone's on the same page, which is why I'm saying I don't trust Bruce Arians as a head coach. I think Bruce Arians is going to screw that up. It's not Tom Brady who screws it up. It's Bruce Arians who screws it up. But that's why Tom Brady signed a 2-year deal because you get that 1 year to get them going and you get a little sour taste in his mouth. Angry Brady, you leave that sour taste in his mouth. Then next year, I think, is the year that Tampa Bay will go to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I also believe in that curse that like if you're the host city, you don't end up hosting it. So
It would make Tampa Bay the center of the known universe officially.
I mean they've done pretty well. You know, you got the
All
Rays
right.
in the World Series. You had the Lightning win a Stanley Cup.
James White. Yeah, raising the World
I
Series. Tampa Bay Lightning won the cup finally.
We just had a screen right there for James White that got 10 yards. I believe that got the first down there.
Yep.
That's something that Cam Newton hasn't done much this season is find James White for those little screens. Something that I
And just
didn't
lean
like
on
about
him. Yeah.
Cam
Tom,
Newton is he looks one way too many times. He needs to spread that ball out with these short passes. Just
Yeah.
move the chains, man. You don't have to go for home run plays.
Right.
You don't have to hold the ball and think you have to do it with your legs. And that's what I've liked. I'm not discrediting him this game so far. He's played pretty well this game on offense. I believe he's made a couple mistakes, mental mistakes, but I mean the Jets have always countered, except for the last couple drives. They've been countering nonstop. Joe Flacco. There's nothing you
Right.
can do about it. I hate over these last 20 years when Tom Brady loses a game. It's like you lost to the Eagles. It's like, dude, Tom Brady threw 500 yards. It's not like the guy like played defense or anything.
Right.
Like you can't control defensive side of the ball.
And you got I was thinking about that. So Tom Brady's shook everyone's hand after the game except Nick Foles.
Twice.
That blows my mind. He
Yeah,
really held on to that because they should have won that
petty.
game. Yeah.
He's petty. He gets petty like that. I mean that's just people will look past it. I would look past it too. I mean, it's the fire that's inside of him. It's the competitor that's inside of him. He looks at Foles. It's just like an Eli Manning. It's like you can't get over Eli Manning.
He was buddy with Eli by the end of his career.
Yeah, he is. Actually, there was stories of them two and Peyton always working out together and stuff like that. I mean, those three ran the league for so long.
Well, you got to think it was like one of them was representing in the Super Bowl at what 15 out of 18 years. It was insane.
Absolutely insane. All right, let's go. It's 30 seconds to go. It's 27-27. Patriots are on
30 though.
Yeah, they're on their own 37 right now. Cam Newton's got to make a little something happen here. Let's see what he ends up doing. They still have 2 timeouts left as well. A little dump pass there to James White. You can get a couple yards.
You can win the game here. You don't want to lose the game with closing like this. If you win, you win. Don't want to throw a pick or anything to end it.
We actually,
I think we're going on.
I think so too. We came out here, myself and Watabe. It's like, all right, let's start the podcast a little early today. Let's see what ends up happening. And since then, it's like we've been covering the game. It's like all of a sudden the Patriots are right back in it. We didn't think this was actually gonna. I didn't think this was gonna happen. I thought the Patriots are absolutely done for.
I think Cam's kind of got his swagger back a little bit because I feel like if I was in his shoes and I tripped both those times on that drive, I would be beside myself, inside my head. But man, he looks like he's got it back. He's got that little glisten in his eye.
Patriots rush the ball up. Cam Newton gets the first down. No timeout called by the New England Patriots. They're spiking the ball with 8 seconds to go.
What's the goal there?
One timeout. They have one timeout. They're going to try to take a play up the middle to get them a little bit closer to field goal range. Even if it's a 60, even if it's a 60-yarder, Brendan, like they're still going to try to do it. I mean, I
don't think Nick Folk's got that kind of range, but
he doesn't. But like, you know what? It's not going to hurt them.
Right?
It's the end of regulation. I believe they're going to need at least 15 yards on this play right here. If you get something up the middle with Jacoby, you could have 2 seconds left on the clock. 1 second left. You can still call a timeout. So right now the Patriots are on their own 47-yard line. The
15,
hike the ball.
15 yards in
Oh,
5 seconds could be tricky. All right, let's see. Oh, they're throwing. They're going for it.
what did I just say?
Timeout. Call timeout.
What did I just say? Up the middle. And who was it? Jacoby Myers catches
Jacoby.
the ball right up the middle right there and gets them in Jets territory.
It's going to be a long kick. Oh man, I hope.
We just right up the middle there, and they're on the Jets 33-yard line. So 51-yarder for Nick Folk right here.
So Jacoby really is that dude. He's
He
good
proved
football
it.
player. I'm just imagining if this team had Julian Edelman, Jacoby Myers, Rob Gronkowski, and DK Metcalf.
DK. Don't
Tom
even
Brady.
get started about
Tom Brady
that.
never leaves.
Can we talk about Justin Rohauser, 5th-round draft pick, and that guy didn't even get to sniff
Oh.
this field.
Belichick's got to start considering
Wow.
picks, man. All right, the kick. It's up. It's good. We win. The Pats won. It feels like the first time in a year.
I cannot believe the Patriots just won that
The
game.
Patriots won a football game. Wake up the kids. Where are they, Babs? The Patriots
right here.
won a football game.
the Twins came out.
Wow.
I can't believe that.
They did it.
I can't believe
I think
that.
that
They pulled it
that
out.
game just came down to coaching. Jets still 0-9. Patriots moved to 3-5 and still not dead. But if they're still in the 3-13 range, if they were to lose their next 8 games, they would be 3-13. We don't want to see that. But Trevor Lawrence would be a Patriot. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think the Patriots are officially in playoff mode. I think they will find a way to sneak into the playoffs. This is the first year in a while, in about 10 years. They're not going to win the division, but they are working their way towards the playoffs game by game. I think this is a start for them.
Yeah, I mean, was it a pretty win? Absolutely not. I mean, but you still end up winning the game.
Was it against the 0-8 team?
Oh,
yes. But was it more exciting than Sunday Night Football? By miles.
Yeah. I mean, this just goes now. There's no tank for Trevor anymore. That's a game that you win, and hopefully you get some confidence going forward. I'm rattled right now. I'm like
Bill
like,
looks more upset than Adam Gase.
Well, you should be, especially the way the Patriots play. You only win by 3 points like that.
But that was textbook. The Jets gave him the ball back with under a minute left. Cam Newton did a Cam Newton did a Tom Brady thing. Moved the ball down just enough. Got the Patriots in field goal range, and Nick Folk knocks it through for, I think, his 3rd field goal of the day. Not bad.
So now I would say the defense played absolutely horrible this game. You let the Jets score 27 on you. Now you go against Baltimore.
It's hard to see them
gushed out on. They can get gushed out, but
yeah, they could have a situation like Sunday Night Football last night happening down there and up there in Baltimore. Or where's this game at? Is it in Foxborough?
It's in Foxborough. Sunday Night Football next week. It's like the Jekyll and Hyde situation. It's like what defense is going to actually show up?
Right.
Which defense is going to show up for the New England Patriots next week? And I mean, the defense looked pretty good there at the end.
They got the stop when they needed to get the stop. You give it to them, but you got to see more. You got to see more from them. You got to hold Joe Flacco to. You can't let Joe Flacco score 27 on you.
No, not at all.
Granted, he is elite. You just can't have that.
I'm just rattled right now. I'm trying to make like a post-game post. I had something ready to go if they lost. I mean, the Patriots end up winning 30-27. No tank for Trevor anymore. I mean,
this does change your mindset on the Patriots' outlook now. Do you see them as a potential wild card sneak in as that last seed in now?
Dude, so here's the tough thing. It's like
they got a tough schedule.
The Patriots win this game. There's no more tank for Trevor. That's it. Yep. Trevor's a Jet. Trevor is an absolute Jet now because you just
I believe it.
Like, that's it. No more tank for Trevor.
But hold on. Hear me out here. Would you be interested in trading for Sam Darnold if he became available?
Do the Jets trade him to the New England Patriots?
I don't
And
think.
here's
It,
another.
oh,
But
that's
here's
fair.
another
Yeah, I
thing.
don't think that would happen.
Here's another thing. Cam Newton didn't look terrible this game.
No,
The
he didn't look perfect
might
either.
Patriots might stick with him now if they can string off a couple more wins.
If he beats Baltimore, I think they'll stick with him. But I think it'll be a coin flip from
Well,
there on.
Now the Baltimore thing, it's kind of like
It's important. It's important.
I mean, what do you got? Nothing to lose, but it's the defense has to show up, and Cam Newton now feels comfortable. He's got that confidence. Right. That's over the hump.
And I would expect Stephon Gilmore to be back for that game too.
He has to be back.
I was surprised he missed this game, but I would expect him to be back then.
I think Belichick's screwing around with him a little bit. I think he's screwing around with him and trying to shut him down. But now that you have Gilmore and JC played pretty. I mean, he got burnt a couple times, but he's been trying to hold it down on his own. But once you get Gilmore back in there,
he got the pick when he needed it.
There's also the rumors, Brendan, that 8 teams might make the playoffs this year because of the COVID situation. So
I don't think they'll change it because I think it's at 7. I think they'll stick with it. I would be shocked if they change it, especially midway through the season.
You're not getting a 1 seed. You're not getting a bye week. You're playing for playoffs. You get in the playoffs, cool. You're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs, and unless they win like the next fucking 8 straight games, and then
the Cinderella story of all Cinderella stories. And
I'm just shocked. I mean, so now they should have never been in that position. They were a 10-point favorite tonight. Joe Flacco elite. He looked like a Super Bowl MVP. Shout out Joe Flacco. Let me tell you he's going to be a journeyman now. Because that guy can just get signed on any team to be a backup and be like, oh, you need an emergency quarterback? Well, hey, I hung up 27 on the Patriots one year.
I won a Super Bowl once. It was a few years ago.
Super Bowl once. I'm a veteran guy. Bring me in. Put me in there. The defense has to step it up against Baltimore Ravens. Can they beat the Baltimore Ravens? Can we see that same defense that played against Kansas City? That's the defense you need to see.
I think that defense is going to be more equipped to play Baltimore this year because you got to think about the starters. They maybe were practicing against a guy like Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham or Tom Brady in years past, but they're actually playing with a guy named Cam Newton now who plays very similar to Lamar Jackson. Granted, he's not as fast. That's what they're dealing with in practice at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Brendan, we're 30 minutes into this. We got to watch the game together. It was fun.
It was fun.
Let's wrap up Patriots talk because we got to talk about everything that we could do.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the girl over here doing the wrap up. We got to feed the baby soon. We're gonna do a post game though. We got to do a post game. IG live for 5 minutes. Brendan, the Patriots end up winning this game. Ugly game. Ugly on the defense. What do you expect them to do this upcoming week? Do you feel that they're going to start building confidence? Jacoby Myers, is he a wide receiver 1 now for the New England Patriots? Talk to me about going into Baltimore next week.
He's gonna have to be. I think the Patriots are in a good spot. They've got some confidence. I don't think it's not as high as their confidence could be at the moment, but I do think they feel like they are still a competitive football team because they would have been hanging their heads had they lost this game, and it would have been hard to watch. To see what they would have done next week. You just wouldn't have expected anything from them at this point. And now they've got expectations going into Baltimore. I think the defense will hold their own. I don't think they're shutting out Lamar Jackson by no means. I think Lamar is still going to hang 20, 28, 35 maybe even. But I think the Patriots are going to have one of those games. They're going to have to. Cam Newton's going to have a game very similar to the Seattle game where he is able to ball out, move the ball through the air and on the ground, but primarily through the air to ensure that the Patriots are in a position towards the end to try to win that football game and steal a game from the Baltimore Ravens.
I flip-flop a lot. I'm still going to have to stick with Cam Newton not being the quarterback. I mean, like that we want him to see. I mean, listen.
Hope.
Hey, you want to keep streaming that? Michelle, he didn't play terrible today, but he still had a lot of mental mistakes that put him in some bad spots. Cam Newton needs to play near perfect, and we keep hope, right. As you said, hope. He needs to turn it around soon.
It's still there.
He needs to have a near perfect game. He still has only 2 passing touchdowns this entire season. He has 8 rushing touchdowns now. He does it.
Well, that shows the strengths and weaknesses there right now. It shows what the Patriots are trying to do. If they wanted, I feel like if they wanted him to throw in the red zone, he would have more touchdowns. But I think the game plan when he gets down within that 10-yard line, you're going to run Cam Newton. You're going to try. He is a big man. He is hard to bring down.
I think McDaniels did a little bit better at this game, only playing conservative in certain ways.
Right.
And yet there was some of the bad play calls. Yeah, 4th and 1, like run the ball, just like a bad call there. Did they get bailed out a couple times? Sure. Did Cam go down there, down the field and try to launch it down there? He threw it down there a couple times, but this guy's got to play near perfect football going forward. If you beat the Ravens next week, you're back in it. You lose to the Ravens. Now you're stuck in the middle. Like you're stuck in the middle.
It's
of
just
like
going to
a
be one of those
shitty-ass thing.
forgettable football seasons.
But it's like I'd rather lose to the Jets. It's like I'd rather tank all the way for 1 or 2 or 3 than just be a middle of the pack, 7-9, 6-10 team that gets stuck with like the 11th pick, 12th pick, 13th pick. Like it's just not going to work that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Brendan, let's move on. Did you vote? You voted, right?
I voted.
We What's up with your state? What's up with your state in Arizona?
I don't even know if they counted everything. I might have to drive up the road, figure out what's going on in Nevada. It didn't end up mattering, so it was all right.
Is the election truly over?
I think it's over. I think the American people have accepted that Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. I think it's a weird political thing, but I think Donald Trump's the type of guy where he won't take defeat. He's the guy. Isaiah Thomas tweeted about it. He's the guy that if he loses in a pickup game, he's taking his ball with him.
Yeah, no,
he's leaving. He ain't leaving that. I think he's gonna drag his heels all the way up until January or whenever he has to vacate the premises. He's gonna get an eviction letter in a few weeks, and he's not gonna want to leave. That's just the way it is. It's gonna be. I think no one's gonna be surprised from it either.
The memes have been fire.
It's been amazing.
Back and forth. And I will say this, I think the country is still truly divided when you have 70 million people vote for this guy. That they still stay with him. If this guy is saying voter fraud, now I'm independent. I'm back and forth.
We are a nonpartisan show.
I love controlled chaos in certain ways. And listen, I live in Massachusetts. We know which way the state goes. It goes blue. You want to do, if Joe Biden does mandatory masks for the country, cool. We're already used to it up in Massachusetts. Like nothing's changing in my life. Nothing changes between whoever's the president of the United States, in my opinion. So I could care less of who wins, because
it does feel like a pressure threat there, though, because you actually have a guy coming into office who is presidential.
Well, his nail on the head right there, because his first couple tweets when he was the projected winner, was just it was a breath of fresh air.
It's
like
formal.
You said. It sounds like
it's
this
formal,
guy knows
not
what
all
he's
caps. He's not out to get somebody. He's not saying someone's out to get him.
I will say this: there's been rumors of Trump doing rallies. There's rumors of him still gaining the support. And I look at this, Brendan, as a no-win situation short term, because the transition of power is going to be so ugly, and you're still against 70 million people. Even you scale that back, 40 million people are going to believe there was voter fraud. They're not going to accept Biden as the president. He's going to tell, these people to get your militias going, get your guns out there. He's going to tell businesses to get out of America. He's going to leave this a shit show. Yeah, for Joe Biden.
It's gonna get. I think we haven't seen the worst of it yet, because I think it's been a pretty smooth process thus far, other than President Trump saying, "Hey, I won this thing," and he just didn't. There's no other way to say it right now.
Let's play flip side.
All right.
What happens to this country if somehow, some way, this goes to a Supreme Court and it gets voted on, because it goes voted by all 50 states, it gets a vote, and Trump ends up becoming president?
It would be chaos in the streets, and I don't even think that would summarize it properly.
I don't want that.
Yeah, no one wants that. We've accepted the winner, and I think that's what we have to do. All we need is a concession from the president right now. That's all we need.
I don't know. These are crazy times. We're going to be talking more about this, because he ain't conceding. December 14th is the day for the Electoral College that meets up. I just don't believe anything until it's January 20th. And we're at inauguration.
Yeah,
it's finally passed.
Something on the Washington Mall, and someone's got a great old big speech.
He'll have more people there than Trump did in 2016. Remember that 2016?
Like the pictures of Obama versus Trump
versus him. There's nobody there. That was embarrassing. But Patriots get the win. Cam Newton's talking here. This is a little confidence booster for the New England Patriots. Let's continue this going forward. I had the chance to go work this game, by the way. I had the chance to go down there. I should have worked this game.
Would have been a fun one.
No, I just got to spend the last 3 days with the the Twins.
Hey, can't beat that. Can't beat that.
Patriots were 2-5 heading into this game. What do you expect? Nah, that was a crazy ending. All right, we're signing off here. Final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
I told you a week and a half ago. I told you. I broke the news. Alex Cora's back, baby. He is back. He is managing the Boston Red Sox again. It's a good time to be a Red Sox fan. Same thing. They took a year off. They took 2 years off, but one was a fake season anyway, so it doesn't count. The Red Sox are going to be good again. Hop on the wagon now. Alex Cora's managing. Chris Sale's leading the way, followed by Eduardo Rodriguez, Nathan Eovaldi, and Tanner Houck. It's going to be a fun time to be a Red Sox fan. Watch out.
My final thought is the New England Patriots are now not dead.
They're
There's
not
no
dead.
more tank for Trevor. I was so close to being on it. We were talking about it earlier. I kind of wanted it, and now I don't want it.
It's
I want this team to now go 11-5 on the season. You guys need
Could you
8, 9,
believe
10.
it? Oh.
Was it 8, 9, 10, 11, 8
amazing.
more games in a row?
Why not? Yeah, why not? It's not that hard. It's like
not hard.
It's like in the hospital. I know you were in the hospital recently. You probably had your finger hooked up to the pulse thing. It's beep 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 beep. It's just like your heartbeat or something. Or it's the Patriots. They were dying, but they're back. They're doing the up and down thing, whatever it is. I'm not a doctor.
We've seen 28-3.
2-5
is our 28-3. It's
exactly.
time to make the comeback.
It's just a full season now.
It's just a full season. All right, Brian. I appreciate the time coming on here. Episode 80, Boston's Big 3, presented by Ride the Wave Media. We will see you soon.